Welcome to the Talking Point radio program. This is a program that highlights a number of issues, current affairs, and of course many more other issues that get to affect the people out there. And as we obviously get into discussing today's issue that we have actually picked, we will be looking much on coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. And in this particular regard, we would like you to also be a part by following this debate up to the hour. We obviously get to allow you to be a part in terms of interacting with us by calling us up on 09609699269. And of course, we want to actually, drift away from issues bordering on discussing politics. We just antagonize at times when you are allowed to, air out your views on something that is being discussed on radio. We tend to divert and get to, bring about issues that are not lucrative in all. But today we'll be delving on coronavirus. We'll look at the updates and, of course, some other issues surrounding, the vaccine that is obviously yet to be administered to the nation. And in some countries, it has already started being, administered. And indeed, you should be obviously interested to get to understand how Zambia is going to actually administer this vaccine that is obviously yet to be administered to the nation. My name is McFarlane Muyianga, and of course, my guest for today is Mr. Erasmus Chendela Mukondo, who is actually the chief admin, the Patriotic Front Information and Publicity Desk. Good morning, Mr. Erasmus Chendela Mukondo.
Good morning, Comrade McFarlane. And I think this is the first time I'm coming here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, but we actually met, I think, prior or some few days prior to New Year, isn't it?
New Year, yes.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Okay, welcome our dear listeners as well as we obviously get to today's discussion where we are actually looking at COVID-19. Let's get to, understand how we have obviously, understood as citizens this coronavirus from people's perspective. A lot is still being embraced as something that is not existing. Various people are actually saying that coronavirus is not existing. But when you go into town, you will be able to find people actually doing their businesses as usual and disregarding all the COVID health protocols that have been, given to us by health practitioners. So I really believe that this should give a very insightful understanding insofar as how people must get this wave of coronavirus. And of course, it has crippled many businesses and other activities that obviously spin our economy. Let's get to understand that from that angle insofar as adherence to COVID health protocols.
Comrade McFarlane, it's unfortunate that I have to start on a very negative point when it comes to the way our society or our people have responded to the COVID pandemic. But I would love to start with quoting the scriptures where it says, "My people perish because of lack of knowledge." What is happening is that people today, they have the knowledge. But unfortunately, people have intend to ignore the same knowledge that's supposed to save us as a humanity. And that poses a huge risk because some of these things that when you have information and that information that stands to help you, you are not using it. I can rightly just say that that is tantamount to witchcraft. Because as the Bible says, only a fool does not recognize that witchcraft is there. Even the same with this witchcraft that we have in the name of COVID-19. It's invisible, you cannot see it, but it's killing and taking lives. And today, as I speak, I think we cannot ultimately say that the people have not adjusted. But as we live today, it's almost now a year, I think, from the time we met talking about the same COVID. That was somewhere in April now.
Correct.
And if you see how the year has moved, we were saying maybe it will only last for maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months. But look where we are, Comrade McFarlane. It's a year. A year as we have seen a year, 12 months passing. The virus, in fact, that's when we are living a second wave. And it's in this second wave that I think a lot of people, they have come to understand that it's not something political or something religious or something connected with the development of science. But actually, it's a pandemic because we have seen of late, chiefs are dying. Prominent people that we used to see, they are succumbing to the same. A lot of our brothers and sisters in our neighborhood, we are seeing succumbing to the same. The statistics across the nation, they can tell you that we have over 800 people who have succumbed to the same. And on the African continent, we have cases almost 3.6 million. And 94,000 people have succumbed to the COVID virus. But what we must emphasize on now as a society, as the people who have been put in these other places of leadership, is to emphasize on the recoveries. And that is almost 3.1 out of 3.6 cases. So between these numbers, we have also people who are in the intensive care, others at home, and then others, they are still being treated as their reported cases. So it's important that we take this pandemic seriously, because there are countries like South Africa. Today, I can tell you, if you go into a pep store shop, the products that they used to import from South Africa, they have been they have reduced in quantity. It's no longer the pep shop that we used to see, because when things were okay, we would see these South African shops fully stocked, fully restocked. But today, there is what they are calling these ones of closing the economies or the borders so that people cannot cross over. And basically, that's what is happening. And we cannot continue with that picture of saying that things, it's not there, here and there. It's unfortunate that these people, and I'm happy the president talked about it, and also the minister of health, is they are looking at the possible ways of introducing the mandatory wearing of masks, because that's the only weapon that we have as a country as we wait for these vaccines that you talked about.
But of course, it's unfortunate that, you know, a lot of people get to disregard these health protocols that have been given to us by the Ministry of Health. You will find that even bars, especially during weekends, by virtue of, you know, I didn't even see the effect, or maybe when the president actually, when bars were actually, you know, suspended for 14 days, that period that was, you know, effected as a suspension for the bars to operate. When the second wave was actually recorded, we saw a continuation of bar patrons, you know, in almost every place. So I couldn't even believe that there was an effect of a, you know, a suspension. So I don't understand really if the people get to understand what it all meant, and also those that were meant to enforce this, you know, suspension were not anywhere seen to be enforcing it further. And we still see people actually, you know, in drinking places, they just drink as usual. Like last night when I was, you know, knocking off going home, I saw, you know, bars were just packed with people, you know, others were just, you know, malingering around, you know, outside bars and many other places. So I don't really understand if people get to know that this is actually putting other people's lives at jeopardy.
It's not only putting other people in jeopardy, but their immediate families, their innocent wives whom they have left at home. If it's a wife who has gone to drink, they are putting at risk their own husband and children at risk. And, you know, it's very unfortunate that it's happening like that. And when you talk about the enforcement, we saw what happened when we had the first wave. How our minister, I think when Lusaka was an epicenter, how he responded to the same. And when they started enforcing these same rules and regulations, you saw how other people are protesting, how on social media they came out negatively. It's unfortunate that in Zambia, that is something which is meant to save lives, that is meant to save the same economy, they are trying to continue thinking that they are rolling on, and that is through the same opening of continuation of the same clubs. It's unfortunate, but our appeal is to everyone. Let us take up this COVID-19 fight as an individual. It's an individual responsibility now. Let us make it part of our responsibility. It's supposed to start from home, from being a parent. If you are failing to do that, if you are waiting for Bowman Lusambo to come to supervise you, it's unfortunate. These are some of the things which are now standing on individual characters. And as an individual, we need to be responsible citizens. And responsibility starts from home. Responsibility starts from taking care of your body yourself, taking care of your neighbor. And if we cannot do that, we will end up what happened with the people, the Inca Empire. We have heard of the southern region of America, how a certain race the Red Indians were wiped out because of lack of knowledge. But to us, it's arrogance. This arrogance that we are exhibiting because of these beliefs that we have, these unconfirmed beliefs that we intended to put as a front, it's unfortunate. So our appeal is, let everybody get to be what we call, not to be an idiot, because an idiot only thinks about his own interest. But we need to be responsible citizens so that we look at family. He who looks at family first is a responsible citizen. He who looks at himself first is the individual interest, is an idiot. So let us not follow that route. And I'm trying to borrow these terminologies, my brother, from the Greeks, the Athenians, who are describing the citizens. So we need to stand up as Zambians, and we are known to be a Christian nation. So if we are known to be a Christian nation, it's important that these rules that we have been given, which are not coming from the local authorities here, or which has been localized here in Zambia, but they are on the international scale, they have been there and they have been preached. So based let us not politicize this. Let us not make them religious. But instead, let us understand that we can fight COVID in a scientific manner. We need to have knowledge. We need to have information, historical. And then at the end of the day, we need to sensitize everyone. We need to move in as a family. We need to civilize the people. So basically, that's how we are going to save this nation. Because as we stand today, when we came here, I think last year, somewhere in April, we had only 3 people had succumbed to the COVID virus.
Yes.
Today, we are talking over 800 have died. And people are asking us, we are not seeing these caskets being carried. We are not seeing, and there are other unrecorded deaths which are happening.
And the other question that is being asked by many people actually is that people are actually allowed to take body viewing when a person has succumbed to COVID. We've seen this happening.
It's unfortunate that this is what is happening. And, you know, they are calling this one as the one way or the other. And if you look at the arrogance of having information and disagreeing to it, that's what happened. That's what is happening in the United States of America. They are posting almost over 2,000 bodies per day. So basically, if you look at that rate, Information, you can have it, but if you develop that arrogance, we will go the American way. You will go the British way, where people have the information, they have this gadget, but they have continued following the same, even the Brazilian way. So basically, as we stand today, we have amassed a lot of knowledge, we have amassed a lot of experience to fight this COVID pandemic. We can reduce these diseases the way the French people have done it today. Through that, is it vaccination, the first wave that they have also done? Is it the second they have continued doing? It's because they have agreed as a people. You know, the best classic example of what is happening, I like the Canadians. The Canadians have almost vaccinated everybody. They have even got, I think, for the second dosage. They have again done the same. And the records in Canada, they're extremely encouraging. So let's take leaf what is happening in Canada. But otherwise, the numbers in Africa, they are not okay. The numbers in Africa, they are showing that anytime we are harboring this virus now, all of us, and anytime, and you know, this second wave, and then whatever wave, third wave we can have, it's maybe the third wave, as long as you have it, you are harboring it in your chest, it will change, replicate into another vicious virus. So basically, let us avoid that if we can work together as a community so that we defeat this disease.
With over 106 million, cases of coronavirus globally, we seem to be, getting much interested in issues bordering on the vaccine that is being developed. And we hear over some other countries that obviously are saying that this vaccine is not working. So I don't know which vaccine is being used by, other countries. There seem to be high skepticism insofar as this vaccine is concerned, and a lot of people are even saying they are not going to take this vaccine unless it is actually authenticated, by, professional medical practitioners.
Unfortunately for us, I think everything that we rely on, it has to come from the World Health Organization. The standards that they have, those are the ones which we have to follow as a nation.
But the sad part is that Africa is mandated or implored to follow the WHO, health guidelines.
Yes,
even when they have their own, we develop our own scientists, and I understand that those can also give us guidance on what must be done.
But unfortunately, international standard, they're international standard, and this is the reason why that other people...
Which place? This is called international now.
International standard, I think, in most cases when we hear international standard, there are places like the United States of America.
That is what is international.
They are more like what is happening in the Canadian prairies there, what is happening in the United States, what is happening in UK, what is happening, let's say, in the European Union. That could qualify as an international standard. And the other one, it's the Russia. Russia, they have developed their own vaccine. China, they have developed their own vaccine. And then India, they have also develed their own
But why
vaccine.
can't Africa develop, her own vaccine? And I'm failing to understand,
I think when it comes to international standard, I think as Africans, as a continent, we have failed to pull up our stockings to show to the world that we can do it.
I think Africa can do as well. But the only problem that we have is we want to hear what the Center for Disease Control or maybe WHO has to tell Africa what to do based on a particular disease.
And that is the unfortunate part of Africa itself. We intend to, we have, from the time we got colonized to where we are today, we have always looked at other people as colonial masters. So we have had that at the back of our mind that we can only have a proper thing that is coming from the international world. We have had a challenge like, in terms of HIV, is it the Sondage formula, where you find that
it was actually watered down.
Watered down at times, because of the international and the power that comes with the international community. Because, this issue of medicine and vaccines, they come with the power of the pharmaceuticals. And you know how the pharmaceuticals also, they have their own regulations. And these regulations, they draw their powers from the same World Health Organization. But it's a challenge. And I think as Africa now, we have the information. And the next time we're going to have a pandemic, we should start preparing and investing in research. What is cardinal is that we have never invested as nations in research and technology.
Yeah.
But if you look at all these nations that are making it happen, if you go to India, they have invested in research and technology. If you go to China for this, and that's what we have failed as Africans.
I think what is cardinal in most of these infectious diseases is to understand, its cause and how it actually, came about and
Yes.
How it developed. And from that particular background, I believe that Zambia has the capacity to, understand such kind of, issues. Now, having understood that, I think it would be much easier even to know the way to actually prevent it from further spread or infecting others, or even developing the medicine for it. It could be conventional or, non-conventional medicine. But of course, we despise conventional, rather the non-conventional medicine. We think it's witchcraft. And a lot of people, actually, that's the way they think.
Yes,
when we talk about non-conventional medicines.
Anything able, it's witchcraft.
Exactly. So now, as we obviously delve much deeper into our discussion for today, we are seeing our children going back to school. That was last week, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Last week, because I don't have a child that goes to school. So
Yes,
it was last week on Monday. Now, the issue bordering on us, schools reopening and also the mitigation measures and indeed those measures that can be used to prevent COVID-19 from entering in our schools. What do you think government has done to ensure that there is no COVID case that entrenches the school perimeters?
It's quite tricky for government, especially that this exercise is supposed to be done maybe even weekly. That is the disinfecting of these schools. And immediately, I think they opened, we heard of such an exercise that they had disinfected the schools so that they make them free of the same COVID virus. But when it comes to individual responsibility, as I've said, this now has to fall direct on the teachers. And the teachers, they know that if they don't manage well the cases of these children, or if they end up also to become the super spreaders, they will go back, especially the private, they will go back to the lockdown. And that will mean now they won't have any income for their homes. So basically, with what the government, the pronouncement, the steps they have taken, is to make sure that the benefit should be two ways. The children themselves, they must be protected. Us as parents, we must make sure that our children, they mask up, and we make sure that we procure new masks for our children almost on a daily basis. If it means weekly basis, we can do that. If it means monthly basis, we can budget for that. So this is a new provision for us as parents, and then also the guardians. We need to provide the is the necessary protection measures or materials that we need to make sure that our children, when they go to these various schools, they don't act as the immediate threat to the next neighbor. I think we have had some situation, I think, is it on the Copper Belt, about a certain school, 2 parents or 3 parents, they had known. I think this should have happened maybe in Chipata, if I'm not mistaken. They knew at a certain boarding school, they knew that their children had tested positive. But they went ahead, they let their children go and report. But the school detected that one. And I think a lot of schools, they have put these thermometers, these other gadgets, and I think they are following the laid down guidelines. But the main emphasis should be, once you school teachers, you don't follow these laid down health guidelines, the impact it will be on you. The president has given you a window in which you can exercise, or is it we can continue moving as a nation, making sure that we are in this privileged environment of saying the new normal. So basically, this is what we mean. This is what the president meant when he said we are moving in as a new normal. Otherwise, if we stop, we end up getting grounded. But what is now, teach the children from home. And then also the teachers should also make sure that they continue emphasizing on the mask, because that's the #1 protection that we have. And secondly, the same temperatures, that they continue seeing these symptoms of the virus within the classrooms. Otherwise, I think it went well last year when the president had allowed the schools to operate. And I think the grade 7 child who managed to finish grade 7, and that is something which is positive, because if he had closed, it would have meant a year wasted. But today we stand on the same ground that let us help this pronouncement materialize by making sure that we protect our own children. After all, these children, they are not the children of the state, they are the children of ourselves. When we have a funeral, it's not the state who is going to foot the bill. When you are affected, it affects the whole nation. But at the end of the day, it will affect you directly. So let us take that special responsibility, especially the teachers themselves.
All right. Now, when we look at, these preventive measures, and of course, the measures that have been put to reduce the further spread or the exposure of, our pupils or our children as they actually go back to school. Of course, we will understand that reducing the risk of exposure to, COVID-19 by cleaning and disinfecting is actually an important part of opening public spaces, especially, schools in this case. And of course, it obviously require, a careful planning, of which I believe that some plans that were put in place are quite effective, and the only thing that obviously is needed is adherence. Now, we still have a challenge in making sure that people get convinced that these measures that have been put must be adhered to, because we see people, trying to argue about this whole thing. Is it the politicians themselves that are actually making it worse, that people stop adhering or believing that this really is a real thing?
There is this inherent arrogance of individuals when it comes to viruses, when it comes to diseases. Even when you have cholera, you find that the other people who continue with their normal activities, they will think that they have developed immune system. They are that arrogance that comes from, no, me, I look healthy. No, me, I'm a... It was something which was very far. When we are seeing bodies being buried in Italy, we are just hearing, oh, this COVID, it was starting in China. And, I spoke about another important aspect of saying, is it the way the viruses, if we understood them, that if we are to fight them, we have to understand the origin.
Correct. That is what is most cardinal.
Yes. If you look at the way the way they fought this virus, I think that should set a good stage of how this virus is supposed to be fought. We saw how China had the lockdown, and how they literally stopped everybody from moving. And we saw a lot of people making fun of that. We thought the wearing of mask was something strange. It can't help, it can't do anything. But today, we have almost behaving like in that culture of the Huang. So if we look at the origin of this disease and how China has helped to prevent this disease going further into their population, it's because of they have religiously followed these international guidelines, which the World Health Organization, I think in October, had given them. That was, I think, 2019 by then, because as we received it in March somewhere, is it March 2020? That's when the virus had arrived here in Zambia. So basically, I think it's cardinal. It's important that as citizens, we soften our hearts. We relook at the way we look at life. Let's take life seriously, because some of us, the way we take life for granted, we think like we don't move with death as our neighbor. Some of us, we think we will die 80 years from now. Others, they think we will die 50 years from now.
You can imagine China, which, from which this COVID-19 actually, emanated from. They only have, a number of people that have died, slightly after, less than 5,000, yes. There are at 4.6 thousand people that have died from a COVID. And of course, it has just super spread, to other countries where we obviously cannot really understand how we can actually use the mechanisms that the Chinese have actually used. Now, I don't really understand the dynamics that people are embracing in this particular regard as they actually go about mitigating this spread of COVID-19.
Yes.
Now, as we obviously talk of COVID, China is now placed at number 83 in terms of, the ranking on the countries that have obviously, had high numbers of infections and deaths in particular. So as we look at these things, it's like
it was the number one, because it started there, but they are now 83.
You can imagine.
They have beaten, meaning they have beaten almost 82 countries.
We have Chinese in this country who are obviously, medical practitioners. Why doesn't the government engage them to also ensure that they find out, what mechanisms China has used? Why is that not happening?
I think last year when we were talking about the same, I think we had talked about the bridge or the boundary which we have, a democracy, and then also that one of the communists, which is more like perceived as dictatorial. They said that they used the draconian laws to control the COVID virus. So, as we are borrowing from the Western world, where we think like, as you said, the clubs, why is it that Bowman Lusambo is having problem with these people who are clubbing? It's because they think Bowman Lusambo is sitting on their human rights. Bowman Lusamba is infringing on their rights. So basically, that's what the problem that we have as people of Western standards, those who have embraced the Western standards. We intend to think that if somebody imposes some medical measures on us, it will be infringing our human rights. So basically, that's the main problem, even the United States of America, why they have that problem. They have the information, but they cannot implement because they believe these ideologies. The ideologies, they are making them not to behave the way the Americans have, or the Chinese have done it. So even ourselves here, the Zambians, we are failing to implement because of the ideologies. We are a democracy. No, Zambia is a Christian nation. At the end of the day, you just need to tell people the information, and then they will take self-responsibility.
I think also issues bordering on Christianity. Maybe people get to, embrace more arrogance because of the tag of Christianity.
Of the blood of Jesus. What? Such things. So basically, even when you talk about our Lord Jesus Christ, when you are sick, you would say, go to the medical practitioner. He goes and validates the point that you are actually healed. So basically, we have a problem. We have a challenge. Our beliefs, its tantamount is exactly with the Western world. And if you look at these other people who don't seem to have Christianity and democracy, they seem to be doing very well. But another case which can also come in is that one of, I think, South Korea. South Korea, they have, I think, among the the democratic nations of this world, they have managed it extremely well. Because them, I think they are like Botswana. Botswana, to them, when the president gives a command, everybody follows. But I think it also moves with maturity. And also that arrogance which we have talked about of Christianity and democracy itself. So I think these are the ideologies which are making us not to move the Chinese way.
Now, as we obviously understand, some of these issues, we dissect a number of, areas from which we can, consistently keep curbing this, spread of COVID-19. But unfortunately, we are seeing a situation where we are recording about 1,000, infections in a day. This is what is happening now. It's even no longer surprising. But you keep seeing people, disregarding health guidelines. I don't know what really is the message, especially from the point of, health practitioners, from the ministry, of course, of health. There must be some strict what we ought to do regarding a predicament that befalls us.
Yes.
It's going to help us in a very a huge way. But sadly, we seem to be just wanting to embrace things that obviously get to put us at at problems with these particular problems, especially the pandemic that we are having now. Now, we see also the churches are still open, but the Jehovah's Witnesses are not actually open.
Yes.
A lot of people are getting infected in churches.
In churches, yes.
But one thing that people must understand, obviously, is that these face masks that we have don't provide 100% protection against this COVID-19. You can be in a particular place where you produce steam that obviously keeps evolving in a particular place. It's not really the droplets but people must obviously understand that it's about just the steam itself, and this is how people get infected.
Yes.
But they disregard that.
They disregard that. This body, as you have rightly said, it releases a lot of steam. It releases a lot of vapor. And besides that, when you are in church, you are excited. And for a longer period, more than 45 minutes, you find that that environment you'll be in, it will become warmer. And that means that the presence of this breathing, it has changed. The environment itself, it has changed. The droplets themselves, it's no longer a droplet, but the steam which you have talked about. The vapor, it will be there. So basically, the moving of these same particles from one place to another, it will affect everyone. So it's important that we follow, as you have rightly said, that we don't seek the right knowledge when it comes to scripture. Scripture is full of examples when it comes to this. Nothing is new, as Solomon said.
Exactly.
Some of this pandemic, they go as far back in Moses' time, where the Israelites, they are told, you wash your hands, you do this, sanitize, whatever. The scriptures, they are there.
Hygiene has been there.
It has been there.
Since creation.
Yes, even the time of Pharaoh. You can call them, they were plagues. You see that,
exactly.
But they were told, don't come out of your homes. Put a red whatever. They will say that there will be an angel of death which will be passing through, which you cannot see, which is an invisible. It's even now. We have seen that there's an angel of death, which is COVID-19. It is knocking on our neighbors. If you are not wearing the mask, it will come into you. So basically, we have a lot of good examples. But this Christianity that we have, which has developed that inherent arrogance into us, it's unfortunate. And then
is carelessness. Of course, it has to be you to ensure that you don't come close to someone's carelessness by asking God not to bring you to that danger.
Exactly.
Not to allow a situation to bring you to that danger.
Don't take me into that temptation.
Exactly, and this is where that scripture applies. So we tend to want to give God a lot, all the responsibility to protect, protect them, and we stop doing our part.
They don't want to live. In fact, they don't want to exist and to achieve the purpose why we are sent forth on this earth. We are human beings and we are here to achieve those goals that God has set for us. But unfortunately, people, they think God will do those goals that he has set. He himself for us again. But it is us who are supposed to be in this race, as Paul said it. Me, I've done my part. I've run my race. So all of us, we are in that race. We are supposed to have that special role that we need to achieve and accomplish. And I agree with you 100%. We have that crop of Christians, we have that crop of Zambians, unfortunately, maybe they even constitute 80% who would just sit and then think, it's God who is in control. But no, God has given you control.
Exactly. He has given us the power of sound mind for us to think on our own to say,
that's why Jesus said,
this is a danger and you cannot go there. He has given you the power to actually not, to restrain yourself from getting into that danger. But you want to use God to say, God is going to protect you.
I like that one. Why should you be given authority? And then you cannot exercise the authority.
That's the thing. Anyway, this is the Talking Point radio program on Joy FM Radio. You can also be a part by calling us up on 095-332-3738. We are discussing issues to do with coronavirus and, of course, mitigation measures and, of course, many other issues that surround COVID-19. Let's hear your contribution. And you are calling us on 095-332-3738 and 096-096-9269. My guest is Erasmus Chendela Mukondo, who is actually the chief administrator from the Patriotic Front social media publicity desk. Yes, indeed. Call us up on those numbers. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, McFarlane.
How are you doing today?
What's the name again?
Mr. Chendela Mukondo.
Oh, Mr. Chendela Musonda. Sorry. It's a common name. Sorry for that.
Yeah, he's also Mr. Musonda. Yes. Musonda Chendela Mukondo.
Chendela Musonda. Okay, fine.
Yes,
I think this is the second time I'm talking to him.
Thank you.
Yeah, although, my brother McFarlane, you're trying to avoid politics in your debate today. But look, there's nothing in this world you can talk about something without don't have that financial capacity as Africans because we have put politics ahead of the economy of the country, ignoring it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's why here today you hear some African countries or governments calling themselves the party and government. Now, let me give you an example. A typical example. There was such governments like that of late Mwanawasa who removed the MMD party from the government, and look at how they grew the economy. Why? It's because there was no political interference in an MMD government. The rest is history. You saw how the economy.
Can I know your name?
So much.
Your name?
That's Brother K.
Brother K.
Yes, let's get to hear this one. Good morning.
Yes,
Bwino bwanji ni wandani awo.
Abantu bamogani bali mu lufu.
Bamogani osakambira monga muli mu drum.
Kitamba mu drum, we have very open test.
Manje simumveka clear kairi.
No, kapela ni phone yanu, on my phone yanu.
Nanga wai pali mweche.
Wakambira mu mask.
Venangu imveka mushe, wai yanu.
Oh yeah, corona. Choyamba muli bwanji festival.
Bwino brother
Mugana.
Maona matenda ya corona ni abantu wonse. Intenda inaanza kuhuani ku China. Wuhan. Yeah. So corona siziva kapera ni scientist yo ni matenda chape siziva. Pera niyo hata maziko wamenyana upanga mawiponi siziva kapera ni matenda chape singazive kapera ni toko zinyama. We don't know. But what we want for us is to fight it. And the way we need to fight it, all of us, we are affected. No matter the political affiliation, civil society, just we need to protect it. Wear masks, sanitize, social distance. Musonda, you are here today, I guess. What we are only saying that let us respect all of us that Corona is real. And for us, ruling party, opposition, civil society, individually, going to Soweto market, bus bonders, let us respect it. But the only problem which we have is that all those who are gathering, people should respect that. There is a disease. And the disease is Sankaya. You are not only party, you are opposition. Sunako is equal. Make sure we fight this disease together. So that
thank you very much.
Zero coronavirus in our country. If you hold hands together, no politics, this is what we want, I think.
Thank you very much. That's Brother Morgan there. Hello, good morning. You're through to the program. Okay, you can call us up on 09533.
Number of opposition this doesn't exist in our country. If you're madwere abasungu fisa nenteke, madwere abafyuma. So nabantu bari suspended chochine. Abantu abashukutikana kufirimba. Mwaimonen. Murando kwa tumo of opposition leader ayimira pa podium.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate your contribution. But you are only given a minute. It doesn't matter. You can finish your contribution quickly.
Thank you. Mwapangisha kwa tumananika no tuma statement mwaya pera kwa market barabashire kwanisha emonen. So that's what we are doing to help other people can afford to pay a face mask. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, how are you, Mr. McFarlane?
I'm all right. Thank you. How are you doing?
No, we are struggling here in Chitulika. How are you, Mr. Big Man there?
Fine, and how are you, sir?
I'm very fine. My name is Philemon, still in Chitulika, Zambia. Let us not circumnavigate. In this country, let us afford, let us not make our country as if all of Zambians are very docile in this country. Over the issue of coronavirus. The main culprit here is Patriotic Front. Let me qualify this point. Patriotic Front is the main culprit. And I'm surprised, I'm communicating what and what, you know, it is a responsibility of a parent, a teacher. Who told you, Mr. Mukondo? Let me qualify this point. Mr. Lungu is the head of executive. He knows. Yes, he has to behave. Do you know that Mr. Boring should be Prime Minister for visiting his wife, Kufamu? He was almost arrested. Prime Minister was almost arrested. You want the radio there. You say the Botswana president is adhering to. But Mr. Lungu is busy going making campaigns. And his campaigns, his followers are not even asking up. Why can't you talk in public that he can stop? Because what Mr. Lungu is doing, it will affect the entire country.
Which Mr. Lungu are you talking about? We need to be guided.
Mr. Lungu, I'm talking of the head of executive. So this is a man who has spread, and they cannot really argue. If he wants Mr. Lungu today, let him call me state house with our Shinina. He should stop. And what he's doing is busy commissioning. And when he's doing some commissioning, if they are not even masking up, for that matter, he's a leader of the nation. You have to lead by example, whether you like it or not.
We've taken note of your point.
Hello?
We've taken note of your point. I think you've exhausted your thoughts.
In conclusion, let us not let us not beat about the bush. If Mr. Lungu you are listening, can you stop those meetings unnecessarily so that this country can be protected?
Thank you very much. Appreciate. I would like you to respond.
Thank you very much. I'll start with my comrade, the one who is coming from Chitulika village. I think, Mr. Philemon, it's important that to start with, we have been stopped from what they are calling creating cracks within our nations, and that is politicizing this issue of COVID, finger pointing. This one is doing this other one is doing that. And when it comes up to things to do with the president, who is the chief executive officer of this country, he has to continue operating in his office. He has to continue meeting his people, because at the end of the day, the presidency is there to save the people of Zambia. But what is important is following the international guidelines. We have not seen him going to propagate or to campaign. But when you're talking about commissioning of projects, we are commissioning or saying, can people start using this bridge? Can people start using this water? Can people start doing this? That is normal work. Don't look at normal work as campaign tools. Let us differentiate normal work from what he talked about, visiting a wife at a farm. So basically, if the president is visiting his relative, then he is not doing justice to his work. He is actually working for the people of Zambia. And this is the reason why in July, he had declared, let us live in the new normal. What he means by new normal, it's the way the operators of these bus stations, if you go to the drivers, they can continue carrying the people the way they have been doing it, but making sure that this time around, it won't be just free for all coming into a bus and road, but you have to make sure that you disinfect your passengers, you make sure that they are wearing the masks. And then at the end of the day, you make sure that wherever you are going, you protect yourselves. So that at the end of the day, we do not go into what we say the perpetual quarantine, which will mean quarantine our economy. So basically, it's not here and there that we have seen people campaigning, but what I know that they are doing their office work. And if somebody is coming to your place to bring a tarmac, that's what he had preached. Is it campaigned? Is it in 2016 that you bring that tarmac to you? It's not a campaign, but it's a fulfillment of those promises that we have done. We don't have to let these people continue sitting in the higher offices because there is COVID. We'll end up coming to a halt if everybody stop working. Like in the case of the Minister of Health himself, he needs to continue visiting all these hospitals to see the status of these hospitals and how it's affecting all our lives. So don't think that if you see the Minister of Health is coming to Kabushi, is coming to Solwezi, is in Mugobudu, you say that is campaigning. No, take it that is normal work. So basically, let us differentiate. Let's remove that thing of campaigning. Campaigning, it's looking at what other people had promised, and it will be open for that 90 days.
There is actually
so basically
there is a marathon of distribution or empowerment that is actually taking place this time around, where you see ministers, some members of parliament, especially from the ruling Patriotic Front, doing all these donations where people are flocking around them. So that's the concern, of course.
Yes, basically, if you see the donation of these products, or is it the so much needed essential commodity food, we shouldn't compete with them. Don't compete with them, because at the end of the day, we are in this COVID environment, and the people, those who are not meeting their ends meet, they are asking that you come at least bring a sack. What they are doing is just part of social responsibility. It's not campaigning. So basically, if you know where we're coming from,
But in
we
my
are the
case,
unique.
I think it's campaigning because they can't
my
just
brother,
distribute those things without talking about
I'll give
the election.
Yes, I'll give you a good example. UNIP used to give us, is it millimil, not so? And they thought that was campaign. What happened? They fumbled. MMD under Rupia Banda. They were even dressing trees. They were even giving sweets to almost everybody, even bystanders. But did it help? I think the Zambian people must know that the environment that we are in, if somebody comes and gives you a bag, that's not the campaign. Don't even say that it's campaigning. Take it to be charity. It's under charity. We are Zambia as a Christian nation. And when it comes to a Christian nation, even in our churches, we have people who make big donations in the churches. Do we appoint them as a parish council chairman? Do we appoint them as coordinators? No. We have people who make big donations in our churches. They're even in big parcel, but do we appoint them into authority of the church? No. So I think that shouldn't worry you. Let people, those who are doing that, even applaud them that continue. You should even come to our place here. You give us also. We are also affected with the COVID-19. So basically, let us not politicize that one. There is the best way of doing this thing. If you want to look at it, it's up to your perception the way it is. If you want to perceive that one as political, you intend even to trouble yourself that it's political. But at the end of the day, no one can buy a life over is it a bag of minimum? No one can buy somebody over a chitenge. People, they are independent. As we say earlier on, people, they have this arrogance also. It also comes from class itself. At the end of the day, you know, we have all this information, but what is important, paramount, let us not politicize this one. Let us not make this religious. And I've seen also the Muslims. The Muslims, they are also giving donation. So if you want to make it a religious battle, you will be seeing only Muslims they are donating. No, my Muslims they are donating. Christians they are not doing anything. So if Muslims they are doing that in this. Pandemic, encourage them to do so. Even you yourself, organize yourself so that you can help out. Because this is happening in these other countries like the United States of America, even just here, South Africa. South Africa, you just need to tell them the list of goods that you want. The government, they are taking it there. But here in Zambia, we do not have that capacity of the government ditching everything. But individual ministers, MPs, and others, they are doing that on their own level through the DMMU, and then also on their own level, because they cannot register come back to Lusaka, register with those, and then go back. I think they are going direct to their communities through these other donations. So let's not make them a religious issue. Let us I think we talked about it. Knowledge is very important. If somebody comes to give you a donation, regard it as a charity, not as a campaign. He himself, you think he will be campaigning, but to you, you will say, in the name of Jesus, I thank you. God has brought me a bag of minimum. God has brought me this. So I think that's how we are supposed to look at things. Let us not politicize them. And then coming to Brother Morgan, he says the COVID pandemic, I think it's known to everyone. And what is cardinal is that let us respect all of ourselves, and we respect even those who are sick. We don't stigmatize them. And this is one of the issues which is coming up. I think there's a religious sister, I think should be from South Africa. They are saying that people now, they are stigmatizing even the religious people. Because they say, when they see a Roman priest, they say, COVID. Let us not do that. Let us not stigmatize. Let us, when we see a white man, we see a European, we see a Chinese, let us not stigmatize, but let us respect. And I think this is what our brother Morgan is talking about, and we shall follow this advice, the term advice that he has continued talking about. And it's important that we take that point of respecting one another. And when it comes to politics, somehow it's very important, but I think as moderator has said, let us not politicize. It's important. Let us look at these issues as developmental. Because, you know, there is this, the way we got our independence. People say when we are getting in the independence in the 1960s, we are asking for liberalization, you see? we wanted to get liberty, we wanted freedom, but we are not talking about development. So basically, all these two, development, politics of development is important, and then politics of liberalization also it's other. And this is the reason why that now we have these two huge challenges.
Yep.
The politics of development, which is talking about developing our own vaccine through experts, finding our own resource persons who are educated, those who can help us to move out of this darkness. And then also the politics of liberalization. You'll be talking about, no, you are infringing on somebody's right. This one is UPND. This is what. I think if we crush them together, we won't achieve anything. But if you talk about the politics of development, this politics of development, as I said, we reduce it to the budget. If we in our budget, we have a slot of research and development and technology, then you find that you will be catering. Like the way I think we talk about this, I think there is Mr. Musiska, the former Dr. Musiska, the former secretary to the cabinet.
The cabinet, yes.
He has come up with this energy to do with atomic generation of energy. So you find that that's what we are talking about. That person, if he's given a big budget, is taken care of. Tomorrow, we will be surprised that we have our own nuclear plant. Why? Because it has been budgeted for. Research and development has been funded. So it's through these developments, the budgets, that you see today America is where it is because of research and development. It's not only about looking at COVID, but they are also looking at the transportation. Is it in space? So basically, research and development is very important. I agree with him when he talks about politics, but it should not be politics that should be the father of everything. But at the end of the day, the same politics is made to participate. It's a communal thing.
Right.
Is the person who votes the same leaders who will be in charge of the same politics.
Let's get to hear some more. Hello, good morning. Twabereka kabo tushitandini, eh?
Bwino muli bwanja Kalenga.
Awe ta ukabwino mtamba na mwami Kalenga.
Mwata.
Sure. Tambula kuso makamba batazona nitakuti pankanya corona mini kilimo tena kujilizana bonse maona ka mukanganya kutia hii baino matandiza kupata ni mapolisi kutoka branch hivi ni machete hivi ni mbameno de members of machete that kuliwino mina machosa maningi ndalama ukataka kutaji kumbera baje bano mamemba ngaja ngapachao baje amasindela baje maona ka imachika so ndio mameni kiri then kubera kusikingiliza maona atia hii ndi mkristo so ngazani singiliza ngazani singiliza bati no konka malamulo maona ka ndio akuti ngatamunga ti muzika baringa maona leo mzisamba kwa jetani mwozo bila sai no problem ini ndiye mkristo ni wachukosele ndio bila kuja wabwe watemako kuja waje akingoza ndio kumiyesa kuja manji maona ka kumiyesa ndio for sure uzaitwala maona ka silemanga muri mcheki kati mcheki mwana muri kama bomb maona ka yani machina kama tempera isi no problem
olo muri bomb tima tempera singa sevens bomb
from PF mule mina pachishinka and not even tintofyo mulelanda no hate speech chintocho nate mapalaiti pamiandi because ndatemwa mukalamba wapalanga imwe akwete speech yakwe wati kuti atembenuna na ngomwana kuti aumvwa not every time as when someone come on radio start talking about opposition it doesn't make sense so can it speak let's work together put hands together so that at least twabombera kyapa twapusana panenzo ebyo twapusana mu mitima kwali babambia abakana kyako vititapali batitaba kuchipani chicho batishintu chikalamba tufule twachita age amazambians wonse makamaka nga twaya ku Ministry of Health ekintu chikalamba ekingakwache watu bakwata confidence nomba kyashike kunu. That's why ife twaba background kana besa tumva abantu aso balera ndo mu hospital tulapitana confidence bantu ile bakona ndo at least since bali tuchinjirapo ukutupelako bambi olesa no ababene kuti basa tupela kuti pyaoneka mwamwana. So try to stay maintain ku health kintu kyonse fibe kuno so yakira muntu ngone mshitako mvisu kushitako efintu asitako understand abana omuntu wakwata omutima umo nango bali amukumtunga enyere tale irishanya. Otherwise the sad news my brother if nefi ashike kuno mabati if no mulelanda mupitilishe kuti mwatola nango expansion pantanji because tamwa kwata hatred. So anyway keti tulande sana as I conclude whether our ruling party or opposition tufule twabombera chapamo not always trash tanafi ataki please twapapata nango afuma ku UPNG wa mu PF fule muchinshi nawo kwata kuli nango afuma mu PF wa mu UPNG tula tukato muchinshi nakatina nokutemwa ngati hate speech every time azana hate ntalera ndapa radio pakapunde ko pali wa HH pakapunde pali balungu. No, please twapapata one Zambia one nation. I beg to Adijani McFarlane. Thank you my brother.
Appreciate and have a good day. Good morning.
McFarlane, how are you, my brother?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you, brother Chisha?
I'm very fine. Mr. Mukondo, sir.
Fine, now you Comrade Chief.
Thank you so much. You are explaining issues very well.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this is the time for us to put our heads together. Because this COVID-19, it's a very dangerous disease. And it doesn't choose to say maybe it can just attack people from certain part of the country or maybe the part of the world. All of us, we are in trouble for this dangerous disease. The way you are explaining issues, it's very much important for all of us to take care and make sure that we follow the rules from Ministry of Health.
What about the way I'm explaining issues?
No, you're explaining issues very well. I'm talking about your guest.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard about, is it 2 weeks ago, from part of a certain part of the country where the parents stopped their children to put on masks. To say, no, after what you are doing, you are going to receive the mark of the beast. You can't put on a mask. They talked about schools. They said, if it means to stop our children from going to school, we are going to do so. So such people, what they need is sensitization. They need a lot of education to tell them, to advise them to say, to put on mask has nothing to do with the mark of the beast. So that's the job of now leaders. And all of us, you know, when we are talking about COVID, we should show up to our neighbors. If you see that your neighbor is not putting on a mask, in a polite way, talk to him or her to say, please, you are putting the lives of your children, your family members, even your at risk. So what I'm going to put across is that this is the time for us to put our heads together and help each other because Zambia is for all of us and we need each other. You're doing a fantastic job, Mr. Mukondo. We are listening to the program McFarlane.
I'm telling you now, could you COVID? It's a comment never never post a command, never church COVID yard to Southie. Hello, Lumba Ingrid comes always. Agent and Dr. Lemona, you can not like when I'm for Comrade Bake Hospital. It's a valeva Pima Monfo. In the now, it's a Lafunga Delbaco to me, for like some Fukusenda, now quite a COVID. Number more like Tamis Vijavan, to put to my shell and avant to shine, put COVID here, Pochat. That's what I Tamis Vijavan to call it a call for visit. Chivi kuliba opposition mwandishi ondela ndako chivi chomwene kulia namenso yanje elo naisa kuli PF muleta pota konkeni development na baiti galungo shobaba nesho babombeli abantu nesho bakwate imisula shisu momisula yakulili omushi ngawakwata akanwanga tondole bwatafiwa wate kwakanwa muchula onaika imisula chakwate baiti galungo eshile kulo omushi sona imwe bale PF mwe bale batungirira tungirira ni baidgalungu kwate ni misula bakamituka pa liponse bakamya situation sati ni party hapo ni party ya Lubana party hapo anshatala mwa pokula wina mabai election party hapo anshatala mwa pokula kuli conseil ya bombela abantu hapo ya tulefu atupangire kwa marodi baba pangira mulamkopa beoti tulesi mwene sonja mwenepo na tuyamona matama kina tuyamona ma schools na tuya hospital na tumonso bale chita n'abapolisi natumoloso bali babombela unless omuntu wakanwa uwabwe mpofu nosikuteme notaka kwegati busuma bobenangu mukwafwale bwino tukafwale akabata muswele bwino.
Thank you very much. I think we're taking in one last one and then we give a chance to you to respond. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Tito la Diana must stop being sarcastic. One pofu. Some of us impofus are more intelligent, more clever than her. Now coming to the issue, Mr.
Mukondo.
Mr. Muyianga says, I would like to commend you. These people from the northern region decide to recommend you. But I would like to commend you for inviting that man, Mr. Chendela Mukondo.
Mukondo Chendela.
Yes. Please. Even me, the awful, listening to him from the first up to invite him to discuss issues of persons with disabilities.
Okay.
Let's do some little bit of studies so that we can discuss issues of persons with disabilities.
All right.
Mr. Mukondo, you are a man of high caliber and unparalleled integrity. Thank you.
Appreciate. And of course, we've closed down the phone lines. We give chance to our guests to respond and then we end the program for today.
Thank you very much. I think the doctor said it's important that we don't politicize the matter, and I think we continue on that trajectory, so that at the end of the day, whatever we are going to achieve as a nation, it's all accrued to us as Zambians. And I want to talk about Diana. She brought an important point, and the other one is that we said we shouldn't be politicize the matter. The second part, which has politicized, which I will disqualify. So we talk about the COVID-19, which is real, and she has said in Solwezi, she has talked about a very important, imminent danger, that we have these people who are running consumption mine there. And these are whites who are coming from South Africa. And I think they have come with this second variant. And it's important that we, as a nation, we tell the health experts, and I think also I'll take this information myself through Dr. Chanda, the one who is now the new minister. I will try also to talk about him, the challenges that we have in the northern region, and that is in northwestern, especially with our people, these investors who are able to fly in and out at any time without actually maybe being quarantined for enough time, and then also following all the health guidelines. I think it's important that we prioritize this one so that we can reduce the risk in the northern region there, or in the northwestern. And then coming to Brother Chisha, it's important, and I'm picking your words where you are saying, let's put our heads together. This is the way forward. And this disease, as he has rightly said, it's very dangerous. It does not choose whether you are UPND, you are NAREP, you are FDD, you are PF, you are, mention them, NDC, or that the Democrats. No, it's it's taking everybody. Once it comes into your lung, it can paralyze you, and then you eventually go. So we have seen classic examples. Like I talked of my father. One who, is it the Catholic priest who succumbed to the same from St. Ignatius? These are some of the examples that we may say, look, there is a priest, the man of God, who spends literally 24 hours praying to God, working for God. But what has happened? He has died. And what about me, myself?
So now that means that practice is what is very important.
It's very important. It's very important. And at the end of the day, once we practice what the health practitioner are telling us, we are going to find that we are going to fight this pandemic. And then the other one, which Chisha talked about, that one of these people are talking about making it religious, that it's a mark of the mistake of going across without wearing a mask. When he came here, he was grounded. It had even gone to the West. He was in fact put on ICU. Today he has survived. So basically, this pandemic, it's serious. It's not something which is artificial. It's not something which is political or religious. It's not mark of the beast. These pandemics, historically, they have been there.
They have been there.
HIV, it was there. It was
But the vaccine has not been developed in the shortest possible time. Is it because it doesn't spread faster than this?
In fact, you know, some of these pandemics, if you look at them, if the virus does not affect the Western world too fast, you find that they will just be looking at it, downplaying it. As we borrow from the late, is it the former president of the United States of America? Just like if you look at Ebola, they developed a vaccine because it was almost going into France. So you find that the Western world, our friends, they have research and development. If they use their own money to start with, if you are developing your own vaccines or you have standby army of doctors, standby of researchers, when it comes to something which is posing a threat, you use those resources to help ourselves. So even in our case, as Zambians, as Africans, let us have a standby army of researchers. Let us have a standby army. It's not a sunk cost, or it's not something which should be looked at. It is a cost keeping an army of 100 scientists. No, after all, they are not discovering anything. We prepare scientists for such events. So basically, when you hear your friends that my French, they have within a short but possible time, they have found a vaccine, it's because they have been spending all this time. They have put people.
They do research.
They do research
in a prospect.
In prospect, yes. And this COVID-19, I think if you go in some of this, not something which is new. I know I have dogs, this to my fluffy. I think some of the medicines that they administer to, they are written COVID. But I'm not telling people that they should go and start using those drugs which are administered to dogs. No. Let us follow the international guidelines. And you have heard some of the people that have been using such drugs which are administered to dogs. No. They are not, the percentage or the whatever description, it's not meant for human consumption. It is a chemical that will help you. It's poison. So basically, we come to Bakalenga. We thank you very much, Bakalenga, and we stand together. We continue following the rules. And I love what you say, detesting God, where I think it's bomb, and then you say we are inside Zamba.
Or maybe you know you have seen people taking that bomb, but you still want to go. And then you invite God is protecting.
Yes, and God is going to protect me. You'll be a casualty.
And African Research University joined forces under the